Hey guys, thanks for watching along this far. This video coming up is going to be pretty boring if any of you aren't interested in motor or engine work. But we were having issues with our motor last year, so this is a video of kind of what we did to help with some of those things.
Yeah, so like Krystal said, when we first bought our boat, we were having, not initially, but after we got out for a couple days, some engine problems. It was smoking and different things like that. It's called a YSM Yanmar 8, and I did some research online on YouTube and various other sites and stuff like that, but I had a lot of problems finding that exact engine, which is the Yanmar YSM8. I could find the Yanmar GM110, etc., and other models and stuff like that, which were similar, which is basically what I went off of to do stuff on our engine, but I couldn't find the actual engine itself. So hopefully this helps other people out there.
Yeah, so follow along if you want to see what we did. Just maintaining the motor. Had some smoke coming out of it and some oil coming out of it, and down in there we had a bunch of oil leaking. So yes, our marina is right near an airport, so that's the airplane. So that's the oil filter. Alex is just turning that. That's apparently how you clean the oil filters.
Very old school. Then I gotta take it apart afterwards.
So after letting the engine run for 10 minutes, we're going to do an oil change. And this is our contraption to put the old oil in.
It's basically a suction pump. You have to go down that hole right there, which is your dipstick hole.
Also drinking, which is what our favorite, Caesars, while we're doing this also. And Dexter's here to hang out with us too. Yeah, he's just chilling.
Oh, that's on there tight.
We're also going to change the belts too, because the tension is actually really loose on those. So yeah, like pretty loose.
No problem.
Give the engine a little shake.
There, the oil's spilling out more there. So we were finally able to take that bolt off out of there after messing around with it, but it's been pretty stripped. It was like super stripped in certain areas, so it was really hard to get off. So we're gonna have to find a replacement bolt because we will not be able to put that one back on at all. So
Piss!
got the other belt loosened.
So yeah, this
The other
should be
screw
like that.
was from behind, and I thought maybe it might have been backwards because it was from behind, so we just started turning it the other way and it started loosen. Cause I'm smart. It also looks like I'm doing no work back here, but I have been helping. We're putting on this crappy bolt again because we looked everywhere and could not find one that matched. But we're gonna have to go to the hardware store and get one, but this is just gonna be for temporary. But we're not gonna tighten it nearly as much so we don't have so much trouble getting it off again. And this is why it's hard to do work in small spaces, because things get buried under each other. Okay, the belt is on. I had to stop recording because I had to help a little bit, but it's finally on. But hopefully that will help the engine stop smoking, because I think a lot of the smoke that was happening too was just like the water coming in wasn't like coming in a fluid motion, because we were getting a lot of, like, every time we were running the engine super hot, like, I think it wasn't getting enough of the water coming back in, right?
Yeah, basically, the one belt is for your alternator, which is what like generates power and stuff as your engine's running. So that was loose. You want to keep it tight, otherwise you won't get a good charge on your batteries. And then the belt below it is for our water pump, and the looser that is, the less it's able to draw water in, which is water is what cools your engine.
So I think that's why it kept smoking part of it anyways. And then some of the oil that was leaking, the oil could have gotten too thin just from like being used for so often, so that's why we're changing the oil, and then hopefully that will fix that too. And then hopefully we won't be like pumping oil out of the exhaust. So we were told that this outlet here works because our actual outlets don't actually work when we're not plugged into power. So we have this like little power outlet that you can plug into that was supposed to work, but I guess it didn't work. So we're just checking that out now, and you said there was a wire that was just hanging there that wasn't connected to anything?
Yeah, it looked like it was for the right spot. It was just hanging there, so I plugged it back in.
And hopefully it works, because without that we literally can't charge our phones or anything, because our actual little power switches don't work without being plugged in.
I don't know why it would have been unplugged though, so that's also something to look into.
I love how you put new gloves on and your thumb is still coming out the exact same spot. Okay, so now we're taking out the oil filter.
Yeah, so it's an older style oil filter, and I guess whenever you turn it, the oil gets stuck onto all of these little brushes and stuff like that.
Alex mangles the gloves every time he tries to put them
The gloves are better, but getting them on's a pain in the ass.
Look at the rip down the friggin' wrist. Oh, I can't. So So after all the maintenance is done on the engine, we're gonna start her up. Make sure that everything works good. Oil change is done. All the belts are tightened. Hopefully that will resolve all the issues we're having. That's pretty much all we can do right now. All right, Alex, what are the plans for the motor for the summer? What are we going to do with it? What are we going to work on?
Well, let me tell you there. So like I said before, the video shows you kind of all the stuff we went over already, but some of the things I plan on doing...
I'm not going to use that part.
Well, from our actual video.
Oh,
because you said it was all pointless information.
Right, okay. Okay, so what are we going to do this summer?
The other things that I want to try, I don't know that much about, and I've never done it before, so I still have to do a little more research, and I'm sure there's going to be a trial and error with them. But I want to work on the mixing elbow, which is basically this contraption here. And it's an important component anyway. It gets really clogged up. And there's also a coil in there and stuff that the water passes through and everything, and that can sometimes get really clogged up and stuff as well. So I want to take those two things apart, the mixing elbow and the filter that like the water goes through, and clean those out and everything. And hopefully they're really gunked up with a lot of shit, and after I clean them all out, the engine will run a lot better.
And do you think that's kind of also part of the reason why we've been having smoke?
I think big time for sure. This is a really old engine. It's about 40 years old, and it's a diesel. I forgot to mention that before. And diesels produce a lot of soot, and they're meant to be run at higher RPMs to kind of get rid of that soot. And a lot of people that have sailboats and stuff like that use their engines just to kind of come into the dock or to get out, and they're never really using it at full power and stuff like that. So that combined with this being a really old engine, I'm hoping that just it's full of a lot of soot and grime and stuff like that and everything, and all I need to do is go in and clean all of that stuff out, and it should run a lot better, just the same as, you know, all I did was tighten up the water coolant belt, and that made it a big difference. So I'm happy to see that those small things that I'm doing are actually making a difference, because it's not a bigger further problem. I do think that the seals in our engine and stuff like that are definitely old and probably going, but that's pretty common with a lot of really old diesel engines. But yeah, that's pretty much our next step. I've done with all the normal maintenance stuff, changing the oil, tightening your belts, changing filters. Everyone should know how to do that stuff at a bare minimum, at least, I think for sure. Knowing how to change your belts, your filters, and your oil is very important, and it's something that you need to do every couple months and stuff like that. So you being able to know how to do that is really important. As for the other stuff that I'm going to be attempting in the summer, like I said, taking out the mixing elbow and the filter that the... What?
Wrap it up, bud.
Wrap it up? Pretty much, yeah. I already said what I'm going to be doing in the future, and yeah, you'll see videos about that, and yeah. Stay tuned.
Yeah, because some of the stuff that we did last year helped, but then as soon as it kind of got cold again, or we hadn't run the motor for a while, like if we were working and whatever, we would come back and start it up, and it would be smoking again a little bit. So hopefully the rest of that will help.
Yeah, it ran great as long as you weren't putting a lot of load on it, which makes me think that those are the other problems as well.
Yeah.